Hi there, Good Golf here and welcome back everyone for this new video on Unity Terrain. This time I will look at Vegetation Studio Pro and how it stacks up against Foliage Renderer. Before I start, there's an important comment to make. Both Vegetation Studio and Vegetation Studio Pro have been deprecated in the Unity Asset Store. There is an ongoing effort to support it in the Vegetation Studio Pro Beyond Discord channel for anyone who previously bought VSPro. So, if you do not own Vegetation Studio Pro, this will be a pretty useless video for you. That is also why I didn't make an in-depth comparison to Foliage Renderer. Instead, I focused on a few key concepts. Okay. So, while a fly-through of the demo scene included in Vegetation Studio Pro Beyond package is shown in the background, let me explain some key differences. First of all, Vegetation Studio does do vegetation placement using rules and biomes. Foliage Renderer relies on you placing the vegetation yourself, either manually painting it on your terrain or by using tools like Gaia or Microverse. Since VS does placement, it also includes sophisticated rules and has options for exclusion of vegetation, for example where you place buildings. Gaia and Microverse do that too, but indeed you need to buy these assets as separate purchases. Both tools, VS and Foliage Renderer, optimize what is rendered by checking what the camera actually can see. Vegetation Studio Pro does touch bending of grass, including creating tracks. Although, to be honest, I did find that next to impossible to get it to work with the limited documentation back in the day it was released. Vegetation Studio Pro does support mesh terrains, or mesh objects in general, to put your vegetation on. This is a feature which will come to Foliage Renderer, but is not available yet at the release date of this video. I think these are the key differences. However, if you think I missed the mark, feel free to add some video comments. I created 3 example videos. The video you have been seeing so far is basically a fly-through over the example scene. I added post-processing with the same settings that we saw in the nature manufacture forest scene. However, visually it does not compare with that scene. You can also see the vegetation on mesh, and what is also pretty clear, that the grass does pop in at a certain distance. This is exactly the reason I would prefer to use Foliage Renderer instead. So, in the next video I tried to crank up the render distance for grass, and it turns out that VSPro has a hard limit as shown in the screenshot. Maximizing all render distances does not seem to bother VSPro too much from a performance perspective. In the last video I created, I used the base terrain from the forest scene I used in the previous video, so it's a little less comparing apples and oranges. I also tried to use the nature manufacture grass and trees, but these did not play well with VSPro. So instead, I added some speed trees and some 2D grass. As you can see, the setup now starts to struggle. Visually it's okay, but the frame rates are dropping. I did reduce the tree density a bit in this demo, and I do think you can tweak the other settings to get better results. So, in the end it all boils down to 2 questions. 1. Do you already have this asset? If not, well, case closed. 2. If you have the asset, and if you prefer an asset that does both the rendering, biome management and vegetation placement, then I would explore if the VSPro Beyond kit works for you best. Okay, that's it for now. I'm running some tests for Foliage Renderer on VR. Not very successful to date, I'm afraid. And I'm anxious to see how Foliage Renderer will work on mesh terrains. So, see you soon with some new videos. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up.